Summoner's War Update 812 is here, and it's more than just fillers, so that's great. We have new monsters, we have a couple other new things. We have the Mystical Scroll bonus giveaway event. We have the new monster update special event. Basically, you just summon things, and then you get a scroll for a new 4-star Dokkaebi Princess. Dokkaebi Princess and Sapsari. Yeah, Dokkaebi Princess and Sapsari. One of them is a fusion anyway, so you have a 66% chance to get something that's not a fusion, or a 33% chance to get something that is a fusion. So, yeah, at first it's like, oh, nice, new monster scroll. And then, oh, well, it's easy enough to get one of them anyway. Not that I'm complaining, because it's usually very, very hard to get skill ups for these new monsters when they come out. So it's nice that they're actually fusion, so people can actually skill them up without the crazy Devilmon. Someone at ComTrust must have realized that we've been having Devilmon issues for the past 10 years, and they're like, oh, let's do a check-in Devilmon event. Let's do some things and actually let them skill their units up. Or maybe they're just trying to do it for new players. Anyway, let's continue on with what this is, because we want to see the update 812. So first off, we have new monsters: Dokkaebi Lord, Dokkaebi Princess, and Sapsari. First skill on the Dokkaebi Lord is the stun. Attack the enemy to inflict damage. I think they're all HP based. Yes, they're all 5 of them are HP based. So first skill, attack the enemy, inflict damage that increases according to your max HP, and stun for 1 turn with a 30% chance. Nat 5 tanky bruiser. It's pretty standard, I suppose. Second skill, summon Heavenly King's Gate. Attack all enemies 2 times to inflict damage that increases according to your max HP, stealing 1 beneficial effect with a 30% chance. Not a great chance to actually steal it. Afterwards, recover the HP of all allies by 10%, and additionally recover your HP in proportion to the number of stolen beneficial effects. Remember, this is skill 2. Then we have the Fire Bead passive. Inflicts continuous damage for 2 turns whenever you attack the enemy. Remember, you have an AoE strip, potentially strip into continuous damage. So that's nice. Nora already does that, but it's still it's nice. And then in addition, destroys the enemy's max HP by the inflicted damage from continuous damage during the battle. So that's kind of interesting. We don't have something quite like this. Again, we do have Nora, so he's kind of competing with Nora. Then we have the Water 1 Violent Swing as the same first skill. The second skill is Magical Gourd Bottle. Attack the enemy to inflict damage by 15% of your max HP, and steal. So that's the same as Wusa, basically. And steals 1 beneficial effect granted on the target. Leaves a branding effect for 2 turns. The enemy has no beneficial effects. So it's not the heal like Wusa has, just the 15% max HP damage. But it's a little bit more aggressive than Wusa is supportive, right? Then we have the Giant's Bat skill 3. Enlarges your body to recover your HP by 30% and attacks all enemies to the recover. Well, never mind. I was going to say something, but that doesn't make any sense. Typical thoughts on this channel. Recover your HP by 30%. Attacks all enemies to inflict damage that increases according to your max HP, and stun for 1 turn. In addition, absorbs the attack bar by 30% if your max HP is higher than target. So I'm not super crazy happy about the water one, to be honest, but these things, ComTrust puts things out now that is not crazy to get people to summon, because they know people are going to summon them anyway for whatever reason. Well, because they're not going to have a chance if they don't summon them from the banner when they banner light. Can we just call it a banner light? When they first came out, but these things are going to be balance patch food. Every new unit that comes out is basically balance patch food. So they're never, most of the time, they're not going to be anything special, which we already, I think, know at this point. Wind one. So the Wind Dokkaebi Lord is attack the enemy. The first skill is the same. The second skill, summon Heavenly King's Gate. That's the same as the Fire one. And then the third skill, Full of Spirit passive. Your attacks will always land as a critical hit whenever you attack the enemy. In addition, the damage taken decreases according to your current HP. So that's kind of interesting. Always land as a critical hit, which is nice for you guys' runes. I've seen your runes. They're terrible. They have no crit rate and no speed. Also, none of the rest of the stats. Well, some people not quite so much. Some people actually farm like crazy, but that's besides the point. I'm just making jokes. Light one. So this is we get the dark one. We already talked about the dark one. It increases the attack bar by 10% whenever the enemy recovers HP. So it can potentially steal turns and be kind of nasty. Not sure what the cooldown is on the Magical Gourd Bottle's second skill. That's the one kind of like Wusa. I'm talking about the dark one right now. And then we're going to go to the light one. So light one, same skill 2 is the AoE. Inflict damage, steals beneficial effects, and then heals. And then the Triumph Over Evil passive. Oh yeah, this is the crit damage one. This is interesting because I read this wrong the first time, and then I was like, no. So, increases the critical damage by 50% if the target has no beneficial effect when the ally's attack lands a critical hit, and decreases the damage taken by 10% for every beneficial effect granted on the ally when an ally is attacked by the enemy. This effect doesn't stack with other critical damage increase and damage reduction effects. So, the second part, decreased damage taken, I feel like if allies have buffs, it's probably going to stop them from taking so much damage anyway. You know, like shields and defense buffs and things like that. That being said, the first part, I read wrong because I thought it was just his critical damage. And I was like, alright. It is increase the critical damage by 50% if the target has no beneficial effect when an ally's attack lands as a critical hit. So, think about 50% increased critical damage with Lucian. Let's see the rest of his stats, because that seems pretty ridiculous, but it is an LD5, so I think Comtois wants to sell some packs. Yeah, that looks very interesting, because again, I read it the wrong way the first time, but again, what else is new? So the fire one, the Fire Dokkaebi Princess, we already talked about in the previous video. She is going to be very good for Spiritual Realm. She's got the immunity, she has a crit resist, increases their chance, a crit buff. Oh, I said the crit resist. She also has AoE defense break. So, interesting first skill as well. Attack the enemy. All of them have this first skill. Attack the enemy creates a shield equal to 10% max HP on the ally with the lowest HP status for 2 turns. I think that's the same as the Howl. One of the Howls has that. In addition, Sapsari attacks the enemy, absorbs the target's attack power by 30% with a 70% chance if you gain a turn while under inability effects. So that part is the interesting part, that the animal will attack under inability effects. And then we have the water one. So the water one kind of reminds me a little bit of Aaliyah. It's not quite like Aaliyah, but the first skill is the same as the other one we mentioned, of course. Jump, recover the HP of all allies by 15% and grants immunity for 1 turn. That's kind of where I think Aaliyah. But the passive is different. So, Protection of Faithful Dog, recover the HP of all allies by 30% when you gain a turn under inability effects. In addition, decreases your damage taken by 30% when you're under inability effects. So this is kind of pretty good against CC teams. Not bad. It's kind of reminds me of one of the Hypno Meows. I forget which Hypno Meow it is off the top of my head. And then we have the wind one. I think all of these are support units. Yeah, so all the first ones are HP tanks, and then these ones are all support units. Again, remember, they're much easier to skill up than the previous batch of Nat 5s and Nat 4s because they're fusion units. So you can just fuse all the fire skill ups you want for the rest of them if you happen to get them. Wind 1, Skill 2, recover HP and HP of all allies by 15% for 2 turns. That's a regen, by the way, in case you're curious. It's like the same thing Feng Yan does. Regen and grants immunity for 1 turn. And then the Joyful Stroll removes 1 beneficial effect granted on all enemies and 1 harmful effect granted on all allies. In addition, decrease the attack bar of all enemies in proportion to the number of removed effects. And then we have the light. So I'm like not crazy necessarily about the Wind one. Watch, it's going to be like something ridiculous, but yeah, nothing crazy pops out at me just yet. And then we have, but the water one could be decent for, theoretically decent against CC teams. Light one is going to do the regen for 2 turns and grants immunity, just the same as the fire, the same as the, well, actually all of them. Oh, no, the fire one is the defense break. My bad. The immunity is the fire's skill 3. So, Light 1 recovers the HP of all allies and grants immunity for skill 2, and then Icing on the Cake passive recovers the HP of allies by 10% for each beneficial effect granted on each ally at the start of your turn. So that is kind of an interesting passive. Again, support unit, lots of heals. The Dark one, same for a skill. Second skill is AoE defense break. And then the Sapsari is my Fred passive, increase the attack bar of all allies, excluding yourself. We'll see how the base stats are. by 30% whenever you gain a turn under inability effects. In addition, you gain immunity to attack bar decreasing effects while under inability effects. So that's very interesting, because this potentially could be decent against, like, for example, the Wind Robo. That's the first thing that pops out to me is this could be a counter to something like the Wind Robo. Can help your allies cut in, and also can't be attack gauge decreased by that and Oliver. I think I think without even nerfing Oliver anymore, because Oliver's already gotten several nerfs. If they really cut him, if they cut his speed lead, then he's not going to get used at all. There are some units that could just be immune to decreased attack bar, and that would make some units so much more meta that aren't currently meta, because if they counter Oliver and they counter the Robos, then, you know, not even that. Oliver, Robos, Shugpung, Savannah. There's a decent amount of stuff that decreases attack bar. Triton. So, yeah. What else do we have? Oh, this is the Fusion. Fusion is different for different servers. So I was looking at a Fusion the other day on a different server than Global. Global has a different Fusion recipe, so keep that in mind when you're building your Fusion stuff. We also do have the banner because, of course, I wish there was a much better, I wish there was a pity or a much better chance to get things. But again, these are Fusions, so there's only 2 new units from, like, Mystical Scrolls. There's only 2 different units of each 5-star and 4-star that you can even need to worry about from that. I was going to say then you can even get, but yeah. What else do we have? I think that's about new mock battles. Transmog building, preview feature. Yeah, this is just... we don't need this. This is just filler. This is just filler. Second Awaken dungeon ranking info added. Auto battle feature. Yeah, this is the definition of filler. You can now use the auto battle feature from level 2 instead of level 3 during the early part of the tutorial. Wow, this is going to impact so many people. Such a game-changing modifications. Nice quality of life improvements. And then this is UI that allows you to check the details of buffs that are applied to the battle reward by tapping the buff icon. I'm like, oh, this is filler. This is a skin. Okay. Beast Rider emojis. Those are cute. I'm not going to complain about those. You can also change the order of emojis for your convenience. Guys, they're focused. They are prioritized on the most important things. Emojis. Of course. No, not even emoji. Changing the order of your emojis. Very... game security enhancement update. Certain data that were selected through the security enhancement update will be available for use in third-party programs. So that is something to note. Let's see how that is actually... I'm kind of half paying attention to what's going on there because I don't use the third-party programs, but yeah, we'll see how people think about that. I'm gonna go take a look because I'm sure there's gonna be some posts on the websites that are actually for the third-party programs, and they'll have a little bit more information on that one. World Arena 2v2 team battle. I don't think that's really a thing, so we're gonna skip that. AI of Dark Harvest Song of Switch. Okay, and then we have the Battle Pass. Kind of Summoner's War version of Battle Pass. It's not as aggressive as some of the other games Battle Pass is. We do have a bunch of free stuff, and then you can also spend crystals on the premium rewards. It's not necessarily forcing you to spend money, but crystals. Then we have, this is the one that forces you to spend money. For $70, we have a summon special pack, because of course you do. That's a lot of scrolls, but what are you really going to get from those scrolls? I mean, yeah. Then this is just, these aren't changes. Monster skill description modifications. They're not changing the skills. They're just changing the way it's worded, so it's a little less ambiguous. So, for example, it has the 100% chance in there. It doesn't say 100% or not 100%. It just doesn't say any chance at all in the beginning. And a lot of people, over the course of time, were like, oh yeah, that's a 100% chance. If it doesn't say a chance, that's a 100% chance. But now this is actually saying, like, no, this part of the skill is a 100% chance instead of not saying anything. That's basically it. So nothing has actually changed here. It's just changing the text so people understand it a little bit better. But anyway, that's it for this one. I'm sure I definitely droned on in this video. I apologize, but we do have some new units. We'll see. We'll test them out. Nothing seems super crazy. I mean, the light one, the Dokkaebi Lord seems pretty ridiculous. And then I think the dark Dokkaebi Princess could be quite nice. We'll see. You know, some things look good on paper, and then, you know, on when you actually get them into battles, they don't ever get it turned the enemy violent procs 1,000 times, and it doesn't really matter. Anyway, that's it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you as always in the next one.